If I can have your attention, please. This is the Blount County Planning Commission. Before we get started, we'll have the emergency evacuation announcement. Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
You do have a quorum.
We have a quorum. First thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the April 23rd meeting. Do we have a motion to approve? We do have a motion to approve by Nick Bright. We have a second by Commissioner Sullins. Is there any comments or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, if you're ready, please vote.
Motion passes.
The motion passed. Now we have public hearings. This is where, if you had a chance to get the agenda, this is where we receive input from the audience on anything that we have on the agenda tonight. So if you're here to talk about something that's not on the agenda, there'll be a time to do that at the end of the meeting. But right now, we welcome you to come forward and address any item we have on the agenda if you so choose to do so. If you just stand up and come forward. Seeing no one, I'll declare that part of the meeting closed. Move on to our first item on the agenda, which is a site plan. And Thomas, I believe you have that for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item before you tonight is for this is a site plan review for a multifamily development. It's at the intersection of Morganton Road and William Blount Drive. Doesn't have an address yet, but it's a 10-acre parcel there off of kind of up the hill there. The applicant is KB Construction. The engineering firm is Sterling. I did notice that Derek's here, so if we have any questions for him, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer those for you. Just to kind of briefly run through what I believe to be the relevant code sections here. This property is zoned commercial, and it is currently undeveloped. So the applicant's requesting a site plan approval for a 62-unit multifamily development, sort of townhomes, on this 10-acre parcel. It's sort of a circuitous way to get to where we are, but in the end of the day, this is an allowed use on that zoning, in that zoning district. So 9.4A, which is, it allows multifamily through reference, because 9.4A says any use permitted or listed as permissible as a special exception in 9.1A and B. And so 9.1 is the suburbanizing zone. And in that it says multifamily dwellings, including 3 or more of any dwelling units per lot. So that's how we get to where we are. And further, it tells us that we have to look for compliance with section 7.6. 7.6 pertains specifically to design standards for both manufactured home parks and multifamily uses. So down in the staff report, I listed compliance with each one of those specific sections. And this does come to the Planning Commission as an approval of a site plan. By our code. One of the things we got to look at is the maximum allowable density. So this is a standard density multifamily development, and by that I mean There's a whole other section that deals with high-density multifamily, and this is not that. Standard density goes up to 6.2 units per acre when it's served by sewer. In other words, we've got 10 acres. They're asking for 62. That's 6.2 units per acre, so that would be permitted. If you've looked at the site plan, you'll see that the access is exclusively from William Blount Drive. There will be no direct access onto Morganton. The site plan actually comes up to a couple of cul-de-sacs. TDOT has preliminarily reviewed this plan. Looks like they're okay with it. The applicant did provide a traffic study to TDOT, and I have the executive summary of the traffic study, or TIA, whatever you want to call it. It is included in your packet for consideration. The recommended improvements from the traffic study were a stop sign at the unsignalized side access, so that would be a stop sign coming out of the development, maintaining the vegetation to keep adequate sight distance. And again, I'm probably going to defer to Derek to talk a little more about that. I think there's been some further discussions with TDOT about some actual, maybe a little additional improvements there, or maybe not. I don't know that was fully decided yet. I think they're still in the actual permitting process. This will be served by the City of Maryville for both electric and sewer. I have included the will serve letters from each of the applicable utilities. Maryville Electric says that they can and will serve it. South Blount is the water provider. They say that they can and will serve it. And the City of Maryville has acknowledged 62, well, actually it said 62 lot subdivision. It is not that. This is an undivided parcel, but it is 62 residential units, so 6 of one, half a dozen the other, but that they will, they have plans to serve it as well. Sterling has already done their preliminary sewer and water, all utility designs actually, and have those to the respective agencies for their consideration and ultimate permitting. Backing up, I did talk about section 7.6, and that comes directly from our zoning regulations. The most important thing, I mean, I do have it all listed in here, and I show how the submitted materials demonstrate compliance with this, but landscape buffer plan is one. This type of development does require a 40-foot setback buffer, and a portion of that has to either be planted with evergreens or include fencing. Their plan shows compliance with that. The internal street design, this would all remain private, would not be county road. All the parking is off of the paved drives. Parking will be accommodated both through garages and through the driveways off of the roads internal. Drainage plan, we do have that. Common open space, they show ample open space. They're also including a dog park for the residents. Adequate provisions for fire service with fire hydrants. I think there's 3 fire hydrants shown. Adequate access for emergency vehicles. The cul-de-sac radius has worked for that. The only thing I didn't know, and I have talked to the engineers since this was written, but that's, I thought I was hearing voices again. So that the site plan would address garbage service pickup if common receptacles are to be used. So in other words, if they had dumpsters, the dumpsters would need to be adequately screened, in an enclosure. It's my understanding that I think they're going to use individual roll-off cans, so that wouldn't be applicable. If something changes between now and the pre-construction meeting, then we would need a revised plan that shows the location of the dumpsters and that they're properly enclosed. There are no specific design standards for this type of development, but they did provide elevations. I included those in the packet as well. Stormwater, this would fall under both the TDEC under both the state and the county for stormwater review and permitting. They do have their notice of coverage now with TDEC, so they have met all their requirements for the stormwater and erosion control. So ultimately, staff recommends approval of this. They have met all the requirements of the zoning regulations. That approval would be subject to any and all applicable county and TDOT permitting, final TDEC permitting, which would be stormwater erosion and grading. And as I mentioned before, if something changes and they decide to go with common dumpsters, then we will want to see that on a final plan that would go in the file. Prior to the issuance of any of our building permits on this, we would conduct a pre-construction meeting with the developer and all the utilities and the contractors and so on, make sure everybody's on the same page before they get started. So with that, I think I have covered just about everything in my review. I'm happy to answer any more questions you may have. And again, the project engineer is here as well.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion to approve this with the conditions? Have a motion by Commissioner Wells, a second by Commissioner Hodge. Now, if you have questions or comments, questions of Thomas or comments, now's the time. Commissioner McClellan.
I've got traffic concerns about this, and maybe Derek can talk to it. I'm not really concerned about northbound. Southbound, it concerns me because you're only 590 feet from the traffic light. And in the peak hours, if somebody is coming in down there and needing to turn left in there, they're going to hold up traffic back to the traffic light. That concerns me, and I don't know if that's something that they're looking at with a TOD to add a center left turn lane or not. And the other concern of mine is I don't see any kind of dimension from the face of the curb to the front of the building, and it looks awful tight. I don't know whether you can get a vehicle parked in there without going into the garage or not, and that's something else that Derek may can address.
Commissioner McClellan, Derek and I discussed actually both of those issues, so I'll defer to him, and he can kind of tell you the progress on there.
Derek, you want to come up and answer a few questions?
Who's he with? T-Star.
Okay.
If you will, Derek, please share your name with the crowd.
Sir, would you turn his microphone? Thank you.
There we go. I'm Derek Jones with Sterling Engineering, and I'm the project engineer on the project. So with regard to TDOT, we've submitted for the entrance permit. They've approved, of course, the traffic study was completed by Cannon & Cannon. They've approved the location of the entrance. We're working through the details of that. Where I think we're going to end up is we're going to utilize the shoulder. TDOT's recommendation, actually, utilize the shoulder and do some restriping in that section to add a left turn lane. They feel like it'll be needed there, and even though the traffic study didn't warrant it, TDOT feels like it's necessary, and that's kind of where we've ended up. So we're in the process of working through that permit, but right now that's kind of what it's looking like. As far as the spacing from the unit to the back of curb, we're just right at 22 feet. I think it's 21.8 feet is what we held there.
Hey, Derek, what prevented you, or where did you come up with the 590 feet for the entrance from the intersection? Why not 600, 620? Because it's obviously more opportunity. Is there any that's prohibiting that? Is there a mechanism that?
Not really. It was based on the. In working through that with TDOT, that location, it was based on the driveways on the opposite side of William Blount and trying to prevent conflicts of people coming in and out of both access points. So it wasn't really a distance thing as much as it was a distance from another driveway.
Commissioner Giles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lloyd, thank you for your explanation on this. Very thorough, and from what I understand, this meets all of the criteria for approval here. But Mr. Jones, I think you're probably the gentleman that could answer some of the questions that I have because they pertain to the executive summary around the traffic study. I think you just mentioned the individual's name or the group. Who did this traffic study?
I think it was Cannon and Cannon. It was not our office.
Okay, so it was out of your office, you think?
It was not our
Oh, okay.
office, yes. It was a third party.
Okay. Thank you. In this executive summary, it makes the statement, let me digress. I go through that area quite a bit, and as we all know, especially those people who live in that area, it's very congested as it is now. And then throwing another 162 units, possibly 100 cars a day through there, it says that this will have a minor impact, by their definition, on traffic in the area. Can you define, what does that mean, a minor impact? Because it's pretty bad now.
Well, I think it is bad. I mean, my office is literally just.
I'm preaching to the choir here.
So, when they do the traffic studies, they look at initial level of service of the road that it'll be outletting onto.
So I don't mean to interrupt, but is there a traffic study out there that says how many vehicles pass through this particular intersection or this particular area every hour during the week? Is there a traffic study that has that
I
number with it?
believe, I don't know that it covers the intersection, Commissioner, but I believe that the traffic study, if you look at the full document that's, 68 pages long, they've got counts at that location.
Okay.
That give you the information that you're asking about.
Do we have access to that report?
I think, yeah, it's right there.
Thank you. I'm not going to study all 62 papers. I would like to have the opportunity to take a look at that.
Yeah.
So this minor impact, putting another 100-plus cars a day through this at some time in the future, do you know if that's going to be a 5%, 10%, 20% volume increase in number of cars going through that area? Probably not a fair question to ask.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'd be guessing if I answered that.
All righty. That's all I have at this point in time.
Thank
Thank you very much. I appreciate your
You're very welcome.
assistance. Thank you.
We have a couple more questions. Commissioner Mars?
Yes, thank you. I just had a question. When you have a unit that's that large, is there a minimum square footage required for each of the buildings each of the residences that's going to be put up there? How does that work? I'm not sure about what that is. And my second question is, from what I could see on the plat here that we were seeing, looked like the driveways, as somebody else mentioned, was very small, and if most homes are two-car dwellings, and to me, I couldn't see two cars fitting in that driveway. You're not allowed to park out on the street. So, I mean, I wish somebody would just address that, please. Thank you.
You want to take the first part, or you want me?
So, as far as the size, they determine that when in their request, building codes kicks in for, and I'm not an expert on building codes, but the number of units, the construction type, how far the individual buildings are away from one another. There are different sections of building codes that play into that. And so it will have to be constructed to meet all applicable codes. And the review may or may not, there's a threshold that unfortunately I don't know what that threshold is, but there is a threshold where the state fire marshal's office gets involved as well. So I don't know if this is going to go down that path and have to be reviewed concurrently by them or not, but all that review and the architectural design it'll dictate, whether or not it has to be sprinklered, which these do. I believe they're going to be sprinklered. All those different things are addressed through the building codes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And as far as the driveways, basically the driveways are set right now at, each unit's a two-car garage, first of all, and then the driveways are 20 feet wide, and then, as I answered Bruce, between 20 and
20 feet for two dwellings, correct?
20 feet per dwelling,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So each dwelling would have 20 feet wide drive by, I think it's 21 or 22 feet long.
Thank you.
One thing we did try to do as well, if you notice on the plan, is in areas where we felt, at the mail kiosk particularly, and then at the dog park, to try and prevent the situation where people are parking on the roads, we tried to add parking in those areas as well, just to try and make sure they had adequate parking.
One other thing that I may not have addressed in our regulations is when it comes to parking, our zoning regulations requires a minimum of 2 parking spaces per residential unit. So in this case, the 2-car garage alone takes care of the parking requirements. Parking in the driveway, if the, association of the apartments, if they allow that or not, that's up to them, but that would be in addition to the minimum requirement that's been met by the garage.
Commissioner Sullins?
Thank you for answering most of the questions that I had. I want to echo the main concern of mine is the, minor impact on a system that is it considered already overworked, a minor impact of that? I mean, I don't really know if I understand. If it's already overwhelmed, a minor impact, I mean, it's already overwhelmed. So the clarification of, just adding more damage to something that's already overwhelmed doesn't really serve a purpose. The other one is, other than the lane and the signage that required, were there any other concerns that were requiring potential additional improvements that we haven't already spoke about?
No.
No, that was it, was the line?
That was all, yeah.
Okay.
And really, the turn lane wasn't required as a product of the traffic study. They said it was fine the way that it was. TDOT was concerned about that. Ultimately, we've got to get a permit from TDOT, so we agreed that, we would certainly look at that as an option because...
Yeah, there was a mention at one point that there was some additional concerns that they were thinking about requiring additional improvements. I didn't know, was that lane the only
that was
only
what they
thing?
were-
Everything else was, they were okay
Yeah.
with? All right,
I mean,
thank
the other option TDOT gave us, which we didn't really entertain, is reversing the site. So basically, instead of putting everything out onto William Blount, put it out onto Morganton Road. To me, as an engineer, that concerns me a lot more than putting it out onto William Blount Drive. But, so TDOT, after looking through the traffic study, decided they felt like the William Blount Drive. The traffic study looked at both ways, and it said
That was my follow-up question.
definitely
Thank
go
you.
to William Blount Drive. So
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Commissioner Wells?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick, off some of these different comments, I would have had some questions, but mine's more on the landscape buffering plan. I was just curious, having looked at that, the requirement was that he has it on the sides and the back of the property. I think that's the way that it's stated in the regulations as you copied and pasted it in there. So I was curious as to why there wasn't a landscape buffer running along Morganton Road. It runs along the side, the front of the property is the William Blount Drive side.
Yeah.
So it looks like the rest of it would be sides and back. So why is it not along Morganton Road?
That it's technically a corner lot, so it's double frontage. Even though there isn't access onto Morganton Road, that's still considered a front. That by our definitions, if you have double frontage, you have 2 fronts and 2 sides. So that's why it's not required along that.
It seems to me that, I mean, maybe that's the case and maybe that's a technicality, but the whole idea of having the buffer is to create a little less visibility, I guess, of the property. So I just wondered if from the fence and or the landscaping, a double front, we call it, you're calling it, doesn't require a buffer. I just found that to be interesting considering there is no entrance on that side. It is to me, considered a side unless you have a entrance. So help me with that technical definition, Thomas. I mean, I guess with that being the case, because I think we've gone through lengths of trying to have regulations that limit visibility of some types of developments, and I think this is one of those.
Yes, sir. Bear with me just a moment. Let me find it. Okay, so building setback line is defined, I'm going to skip through, get to the important parts here. Lots along more than one right-of-way frontage are considered to have multiple frontages. Front setbacks shall be applied to such frontage. The minimum setbacks prescribed in the districts shall be applicable to fronted, oh, that's something different. Anyway, so it's a function of the definition of a front.
It does not require an entrance to be a front. Just a
Sorry?
road, it's just road frontage. It doesn't require an entrance to be a front.
Correct. A line between the street right-of-way, a platted access easement, or an official future street right-of-way, and the front of a building on a lot.
It may be technically allowable, but I think under the circumstances with this particular development, the way that it is, and that we're getting as much on this property as we possibly can get in, we're maximizing it, and so I would request that it gets added to that property personally. I won't stand in the way of moving it forward in that regard, but I would personally like to see that being considered a side and not a front, but that's just my opinion.
Are there any more questions?
I got a
Commissioner
comment. Just want to say I agree with what Commissioner Wells said, and that happens to be right across the street from my house. That is the spot that absolutely needs a buffer the worst. The other side, the opposite side of that already has woods there. That's really the only place that it does need a buffer is there along Morganton. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, are you ready to vote?
I do have a question. Are we
Commissioner McClellan?
amending the motion to add the buffer zone on Morganton Road?
I guess the floor is open to do that, if someone wants to do that.
I considered making that motion, but I don't know, can we make them do that, Thomas?
I think if they volunteer it, I think you're good. I don't know that by our regulations you can make them do it. There is another section, in the authority of the Planning Commission, it says that when you all are reviewing site plans, one of the few discretionary things that you have in a site plan approval is the Planning Commission may at its discretion when reviewing or approving site plans require buffering alongside and rear lot lines in the form of fencing or vegetative growth. Well, we've already got that. For any use other than a single-family residential use that bounds a residential use or a platted residential lot. So that, you do have an additional authority to require it in some circumstances, but it doesn't say front. But I think if they volunteered to do it or offered to do it, I think you certainly could include it then.
Well, I think I'd like to move that we recommend that they do so.
Second.
Oh, yeah, hold on a second. So we have a motion that we recommend the
Add buffering along the Morganton Road side.
add buffer along Morgan Road. And I have a second by Commissioner Sullins is what it shows.
Oh, he said it. Wait.
Okay, got Commissioner Hannah. Okay,
Chairman, may I make a?
we'll discuss that. You want to address it?
Well, one thing I was, Thomas and I had some discussion about this landscape buffer early on, and obviously we did it to meet the rules that exist. I mean, one of my primary arguments, for lack of a better word, was we're buffering against the apartments in the back of the site, which is already pretty densely vegetated, against a multifamily site. I mean, one option we have is if we could substitute, if we can move that buffering over to Morganton Road, as Mr. Bright said, I think that makes a lot more sense. I mean, because we're buffering from single family there and removing some of the buffering where there's a lot of existing vegetation buffering from multifamily. I would propose that if that were an option.
That suits me.
Okay, so we're going to, yeah, we need
did
to,
that.
well, I know, but we need to,
We need to put that in the amendment that we are agreeing to allow him to flip-flop.
that's correct.
That's fine with me, yeah.
So we've changed the amendment.
We have. We've
You're
amended
okay
the
with-
amendment.
You're okay with the second?
Okay with the amendment he's asking.
Well, and the
No,
original.
well, basically, I'm pulling it off and
Yeah.
just
we're
redoing
mixed.
it. Okay. So, have we got that? Is there any questions or comments on the amendment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, for my purpose, would you please state the clarity of what the amendment looks like?
Yes, sir. The amendment is to allow the developer to move the amount of buffering from the back up to the Morgan and Rose side. Is that correct? That's good to do. Okay, is there any other questions or comment on the amendment? Are we ready to vote on the amendment? If you do, please do so. Not yet. This is amendment. Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, please do so. Now we're ready, please vote. The motion passes as amended. Now we're down to concept plans. There are none. Preliminary final plats. Okay, item 1 on the final plats. Douglas, will you help us with that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I will. I got item C1, Pages Place subdivision, lots 34R1 to 34R4 off Willow Pond Drive by Murphy Bobcat. There's 4 lots. 3 are served exclusively off of a common driveway easement, and 1 lot has road frontage. I have the outstanding items to be completed on page 3 of the staff memo. Number 1 is the copy of the notarized maintenance agreement for the maintenance of the common driveway and the cluster mailbox. Number 2, signature plats including sanitary sewer, electric, and the water utility. And number 3 is the platting fee. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. If you have any questions, I will address them.
Do we have a motion to approve this as with the condition? There's a motion by Commissioner Bright, seconded by Commissioner Wells. Is that correct? Now, are there any questions or comments? Commissioner McClellan.
If this is a final plat, there is no right-of-way dedication on Willow Pond. Is there a reason why you didn't require that?
It's already been previously dedicated.
No, you got it right on the edge of the pavement. It's not, you got it showing as right on the curb. No,
There's a 50-foot right-of-way for Willow Pond that currently exists.
it doesn't exist. Don't cross your property there.
I can't see it on here. I'm sorry. We'll make sure that it's correct.
I don't want to
Just
see
maybe
it.
no.
I don't want to see it recorded like this without that dedication, since you require everyone else to do it.
Yeah, we do require it. We'll make sure it's on here. Sterling's here. Derek will get it on the plat.
Bruce, are you okay with that? Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, please do so. That motion passes. That brings us down to Ridge Meadows, I believe. Doug, can you help us with that?
Yeah, item C2 is Ridge Meadows, lots 3 through 5 off Ridge Road by Pancratz Construction. There's 3 lots. 2 are to be served exclusively off of a proposed common driveway, and 1 has road frontage. The outstanding items to be completed are on page 3. Again, number 1, copy of a notarized maintenance agreement for the maintenance of the common driveway and the cluster mailbox. Number 2, signature plats including Environmental Health Department, electric, and water. And number 3 is the Environmental Health Department review fee and the platting fee. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve with conditions? A motion by Commissioner Giles. We have a second by Commissioner Sullins. Now, are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, please do so. Motion passes. Doug, I think you're still up.
I am. Item E1 is Mike's Rains property, lots 1 through 3, off Maple Lane by Mike Rains. There's 3 lots along the county road and a remainder greater than 5 acres. The outstanding items to be completed are on page 2. Number 1 is the signature plats with all certifications, including Environmental Health Department, electric and water. And number 2 is the Environmental Health Department review fee and the platting fee. If you have any questions, I'll address them. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have a motion to approve with conditions? Motion is made by Commissioner Wells. We have a second by Commissioner Mars. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready, please vote. Motion passes. That brings us down miscellaneous items. I've got one for tonight. This gentleman has been with us every meeting for I don't know how many years, but we appreciate him being here, but this is going to be his last meeting with us. Curtis, will you stand up and let us say thank you? Thank you very much. We couldn't hold these meetings without you. I don't know how. But anyway, thanks. Okay, you got any long-range plans, Thomas? Any reports? I guess that brings us down to public input.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have one second. I just wanted to make a comment real quick before it
Okay.
gets to that point. Related, kind of goes back to that first item that was on our agenda, unrelated though specifically to their proposal, so I didn't want to say it then. But noticing that we've worked in different conversations and had long conversations about developments in particular, and zoning aside for a second, if we're looking at this particular development in 10 acres and putting 62 townhomes on it and that sort of thing, and the regulations, as it were, called for a whopping 5% of open space. That's what it called for. So as we've looked at other things, including cluster developments, and we were tussling over 40 and 35%, I think we've got something to look at here, just as how are we addressing zoning, how are we addressing that open space, and I think there's a big disparity between them. And so I think we got to bring that back to a workshop at some point in time to have some level of conversation.
I just wanted to add to what Commissioner Wells was saying. I think that we need to look at all of our regulations and make sure that we are having them more current to where Blount County is today, and make sure that they're all up to date. So if there's a way we can make that happen.
Very good. Anyone else before we move on? Okay, we're to the time now where we have public input from anyone on items that are on the agenda. If you're here wanting to talk about something that we haven't talked about tonight, now's the time. You come forward, give us your name. Is there a pad out there?
Yes, they need to print their name.
Come forward, print your name and your address, and then you'll have 3 minutes to comment. What is your name, ma'am?
Danielle Vanover.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
I came here tonight because I very recently found out that sorry, I'm very nervous. I've never done this before. I very recently heard that there is talks of an AI data center wanting to be opened up potentially near here. And I just thought I would come and speak on pleading that that does not happen. I know myself, and I know a lot of other people in here do not want that to happen, and I also know that thousands of other people that aren't in here tonight don't want that to happen. There's a petition going on right now that is asking it not to be built, and in 2 days it got over 11,000 signatures, and every single time I check it, it goes up by hundreds, like rapidly. It's going up very, very quickly, and so I know that just from what we've seen in the past from ones being built, that AI data centers are not only leeches on the environment, but it's also a leech on the community from the water pollution, the light pollution, the noise pollution. It seems like it does absolutely nothing good for the community around it. And so I just wanted to come here and speak my piece and just hope that you think about this when it comes to the future of a potential AI data center.
Thank you, ma'am. Hey, folks, we welcome you, okay? But we are not going to have that. Now, if you're going to make a comment, that's fine, but we are not going to have applause after every comment, or we'll clear the room, okay? But we'll listen to everybody that wants to talk. Come up and say what you want to say, but I do not want any more outbursts of that nature. Do we understand? Thank you. No.
Hi, I'm Bethany Duvall. You said state my address? Is it? Oh, okay. Okay. I moved to Blount County in 2015. I had just left the flatlands of Dallas, Texas, so I was very thrilled by the beautiful mountains and trees and mountains, trees, and streams. I have loved and invested in the community of Blount County ever since. I imagine, given the time you give to this committee, and given the amount of money you make, or rather don't make, serving on this committee, that you also must love Blount County very much. But Blount County is under threat right now. AI data centers use up to 5 million gallons of water a day, as much as a city of 50,000 people. Communities that have welcomed these data centers are suffering regular water shortages or even having water shipped in to survive. Day and night, they emit a loud hum, disturbing not just people, but all kinds of wildlife. It has been found to disrupt animal communication, mating, and migration paths. As stewards of one of the most biologically diverse regions in the country, we should not take that lightly. The centers also guzzle immense amounts of electricity, requiring new infrastructures that are not paid for by the data centers, but that you will be expecting us, the citizens, to pay for. At a time when grocery prices are on the rise, when gas prices are on the rise, when housing prices are on the rise, people in Blount County are struggling. We do not need a data center to make that struggle greater. We do not need a data center to destroy the land that we love. I know they're not allowed to applaud, but I believe that if you were to ask all of these people here if they want to see our waters polluted by an AI data center, they would tell you no. That if you ask them whether they wanted to see wildlife driven out of Blount County, out of the foothills of the Smokies, by a data center, they would say no. I don't know what's in it for the county commissions and city councils that have welcomed these centers in. I don't know if there are kickbacks involved. I don't really know what the motivation would be. Because as far as I can see, it is only downsides. It does not bring a lot of jobs. It does not bring benefits to the citizens. And as people who love Blount County, I'm asking you, please do not allow them to bring an AI data center here. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Who's next? Welcome if you right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cedric Waller. I grew up in East Tennessee my entire life. If I could get a show of hands of who doesn't want an AI data center here, could I get a show of hands? That's just everybody that's shown up here tonight to address the fact that we do not want, nor do we need that here. Other than growing up here in East Tennessee, I have a love for technology. I can't tell you enough how many times I've saved people's data on their personal devices, and I've gotten hugs from people thanking me for saving the pictures of their grandmothers that have passed away, their mothers that have passed away, their sons, their daughters. That kind of information does not belong in an AI data center. It belongs on people's personal devices. There are ways around getting all of the AI data centers and still thriving as a society. So I'm just up here pleading with you as a cancer patient, and here's what else disturbed me today is you've got people online saying AI data center can help with cancer research. And as a cancer patient myself, I can tell you it will make things worse if we get an AI data center. The fact is where do we draw the line of the environmental impacts of our choices? So also, I'd like to take some time to thank, if anybody here is a veteran that served in our military, thank you. I'd like to take time to thank all the veterans that showed up here tonight. Thank you for your service, and thank you continuing to serve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Who's next?
My name is Cassandra Anderson, and I wanted to add to the passionate statements of those who stood before me. I'm concerned about the emissions of polyfluoroalkyl substances in a time when the EPA is actively rolling back regulations and restrictions of PFAS in our water, soil, and air. In localized areas near industrial plants or military bases, contaminated drinking water is the single largest source of exposure. Does Blount County want to live near the single largest source of exposure to cancer and disease-causing chemicals? No.
Thank you, ma'am. Who's next?
My name is Daniel Williams. I'll apologize ahead of time. My public speaking is not my strong suit. Sorry, my name is Daniel Williams. I'll apologize ahead of time. Public speaking really isn't my strong suit, but I feel it's necessary to say something about this. I'm sure you'll hear a lot of concerns about data centers from all the people behind me here, and I'm sure many of them will bring up a wide variety of issues. One I rarely hear mentioned is infrasound, so sound below the range of human hearing below 20 hertz. The volume that these data centers emit that type of sound at is enough to disrupt human sleep patterns, cause anxiety, and some pretty other serious physical effects. I've even heard of a couple people starting to have more frequent nosebleeds and other problems because of it. I don't think we really want to make people more anxious around here, and it definitely, of course, interferes with wildlife as well.
Howdy, my name is Kaylee Sneed. I live in Eagleton area, and I've been here my entire 24 years of life. My parents lived here their whole life, my grandparents, my great-grandparents. And I know we've talked about data centers, economic disparity. We talked about the environmental impacts that it has. We've talked about the infrasound. I want to expand a little bit more on the economic burden. So for those of you who are well-versed in Blount County history, you know that rural Appalachia has been pretty poverty-stricken for its entirety of existence. And currently, as of 2024, we have about 19.1% of children in Tennessee living below the federal poverty level. And we're seeing higher poverty rates across all age groups in Tennessee than we do nationwide. And we've heard from multiple communities across the nation that AI data centers come in and they raise the rates of electricity for regular homeowners, making it hard for them to keep up with their electricity bills. And I know the TVA also has been trying to readjust their rates to try not to shift that burden onto residential people, but I know that they are struggling with this kind of significant change, as they have stated and as Blount Partnership has stated. I just want to stress that we cannot, at this time, saddle any more economic burden than we're already dealing with the cost of living, gas prices, grocery prices, housing prices. The average rent in this side of Maryville is about $1,100, which is about 110% of federal minimum wage. So as people who are already struggling, I know that most of us here see no benefit of bringing in an AI data center, as they do not supply a huge amount of jobs like Amazon has been doing. Bringing in a giant power plant that consumes a lot of electricity, that depletes our environmental splendor, which is where we do make a lot of our money from both agriculture and tourism to the Great Smoky Mountains. I would just like to plead that you guys consider this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Who's next?
Good evening, I'm Rodney Murphy. I'm a lifelong resident of Blount County. My wife and I live in Trotwood subdivision, District 5. I'm the owner of Murphy's Bobcat. I've been in business 26 years, employed over 80 employees, and contribute more than $3 million in payroll annually. I appreciate the opportunity to address this issue, these issues I have encountered with the current approval process of preliminary plat determination over the last several months. I don't come to these meetings often, so I'm sure I will do or say something wrong, so forgive me in advance. It is my understanding that this body does not directly manage the planning staff, but does control subdivision regulations, and the county commission has the final say on said regulations. I expected by following the approved processes, I would return before the body for a final approval in a reasonable time frame. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. I complied with all the requirements and challenges, but plat has been delayed month after month. I had a plat that could have been on the agenda November 25, or at least by January 26 agenda. This simply is not a good business practice and ultimately unfair to the industry. Time costs money for developers, realtors, excavating companies, and builders. Unlike government jobs, our paychecks depend on production, and we cannot afford to be held back months due to issues that can be resolved quickly. Money can be held in escrow if agreed upon to get any problems fixed before sale or closing. Also, the lack of timely callbacks or returned emails, sometimes taking 2 to 3 weeks, is unacceptable. If rules exist, both sides should be required to follow them in a timely manner, weather permitting. I have known many of these council members for many years. I believe that they can vouch for me and my commitment and others in the industry to do what we say we'll do. I intend to put a group of local entrepreneurs together to voice our frustrations and work toward a solution that we can benefit everyone involved. I realize this may put me at a disadvantage in the future, but I would like to conclude by saying accountability is crucial. Someone needs to be held accountable for their actions, or better yet, the lack of their actions. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else?
My name is Eric Whitehead, and I've been living in Blount County for my entire life, and my parents' life and my grandparents' generations of living here. And I think that beyond just the negative impacts of the data center on our environment, considering that we live right next to the most visited national park in the world, also on the road that this is being designed to be built near Arconic, I have driven home from work and from where I was working at Shoney's, and I was stopped by a police officer for going a little over the speed limit, and he was expressing to me that it was because that it was such a residential zone. So I just feel like that if this is such a residential zone where that people shouldn't be speeding and, we should be careful around this area, that maybe this isn't such the greatest place for something with noise pollution and various other impacts on the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience? Yes, ma'am, come up.
Hi, my name is Oshana Moore, and I live in Wallen, Tennessee. I'm here on the data centers, and in this particular instance, I asked you to think of Blount County like a great house, and it's surrounded by beautiful gardens, rivers, farmland, and like any house, it has guardians and parents, which I like to think of y'all as the guardians and parents of this great house of Blount County. And like any house, you are responsible for decisions that affect everyone in your house. And sometimes you have to make decisions that we might not agree with, or maybe you have to say no to some things because there's not enough money to go around, like any other household. And like any home and any household, there are some decisions that can make or break your household, that can bring great harm and devastation to all in your household. And like I well know in my own life, it's a lot harder to rebuild after a bad decision than it is to use some discernment in the beginning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Maggie Engel. I've lived in East Tennessee all my life, and I've always been entranced by the natural beauty of our wildlife and just the nature surrounding us. And by adding an AI data center, we will only take this away from East Tennessee and the surrounding areas. And we've already seen through other data centers that the short-term effects are extremely negative, and I really don't think East Tennessee wants to see the long-term effects of a data center. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next.
Hey, my name is Anthony Diorio. I'm a student of forestry at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and the biggest thing about forestry is that it's all about proper management. And the big thing I've taken away from that is that when I grew up, I always see logging is one of the most destructive things. But what I want to relate that is to AI data centers, is that there's always a correct way to manage land. If you go back in the Blount County's history, you go back to how the Great Smoky Mountains were managed, and if you saw that, it was logging all of the old growth forests straight down to nothing, clear cutting everything. And obviously, we've learned now through better education and knowledge that it's not how we want to manage our lands. And I want us to take these lessons that we've learned from the past and continue that into the future, and showing how the big public outcry that we're seeing against AI data centers, whether they're proposed, whenever they're going to be, there's such a big public outcry against these things. And people higher up in education, people lower down, everyone is pleading against these things, and it's only those up top making money from it that really want to push for it. And there's so many reasons to stop doing that, but I'd just like to say that, like I said, we learn from our history and we properly manage these lands well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Hello, my name is Maven Williams, and I have 3 points to make, so this will be pretty brief. The first one is that you can tell already that people really appreciate the wildlife that we have in our area. The immense amount of light pollution that we have is already disrupting the synchronous flashing lightning bugs that are unique to this area. And if we add a data center, it will only disrupt that more. Point number 2 is that you guys just voted on another housing complex. How much more do we want to cram into this tiny space? It'll make it unlivable. And then the third point is this. It's a very simple issue of consent. We do not want this here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now, next. Next.
Good evening, all. First of all, my name's Julie Carabia. I was born and raised in South Knoxville, just over the ridge there, across from where I now live in Blount County. It's so heartwarming to see such a diverse community come together and speak, from younger, older, and everybody in between, about the concern of the data centers. No one's spoken about the future as far as what can we do to set severe restrictions to where our area is not an invitation for these data centers to even consider. Now is the time, before the data centers start, developers start coming around and talking and whispering. Now's the time to set these severe restrictions. County commissioners in the great state of Tennessee, I believe I read Bradley County, has already set these severe restrictions in place through zoning restrictions, planning restrictions, to where the data center developers, they don't even want to consider Bradley County. They left. It's too hard. So my challenge and my invitation and my request is that Blount County, we set these restrictions in place so that we're not even a place that they want to consider. And as far as the other issues tonight about the Morganton Road, I know I was here last week and an elderly lady spoke with trembled voice about her concern. She lives on Morganton Road. My friends are here. They live on Morganton Road. And the traffic is unbearable. I'm glad I don't live over there. I'm glad I live on the other side of the county. But this is something, again, how much more of our resources through roads and infrastructure. We can't grow beyond what we already have. So it's a challenge that you guys have to weigh, and I appreciate your dedication to consider all matters for Blount Countyans. And again, thank you all for being here, and great job for everybody showing up. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next.
All right, pardon me, I tend to talk very quickly when I'm nervous, but I was lucky enough to graduate my high school. Oh yes, I'm so sorry. My name is Gloria Pacana. I was lucky enough to graduate high school before AI became very, I would say, commonplace. And from the second that I graduated high school, I was told that it would effectively replace me one day, that it would effectively take over whatever job I chose to pursue and in whatever field. So I played into it. I did for a long time not even think twice about using AI, and then I started to hear more and more about the environmental repercussions, the mental repercussions, all of that. We live in the state that ranks 42nd on the mental health scale for our youth, meaning that much of our youth identifies or is diagnosed as being depressed or suffering from a mental issue of that nature, and AI is proven to affect that negatively. And I can't ask what benefit there is to both messing with our environment, our beautiful environment that we are given here, and just promoting something that is obviously shown so many signs of harm when it does very little good. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Auden Tatler, and I have the opportunity to be a computer science major at the University of Tennessee in the fall. I've grown up in the age of technology, and as I look around, AI is not something that I want in my daily life. As someone who is going into computer science, it will threaten my job, it will threaten my future, and it is also just inherently evil. We have people around here who have talked about the wildlife repercussions and the environmental repercussions, and though those are very big concerns, it also poses a threat to human morality. What is human identity if we have AI to replace us and do everything for us until we eventually just can't do anything for ourselves? And AI has the very likely threat of stealing a job for me, stealing a future for me and my family, and I don't want that, and I don't want a state that I've grown up in all my life to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next.
Hello, my name is Katie. I live in Knoxville, and 3 weeks ago I lost my job to AI. I don't blame the company for the restructuring that they decided to do, because of course everything is very expensive and sometimes that's the cheapest option. However, I just wanted to come here and talk to you guys and to remind you that the opportunities that AI could provide Blount County will be nothing in the wake of what it can take away. Everything that we have in terms of our strong community, the people that we have working at our favorite places in community, from somewhere as small as Capitol Theater to somewhere as huge as Arconic, all rely on human intelligence and genius. And that is how we've gotten as far as we have. Things like data centers encroach on already precious space. As we've discussed earlier, we are already struggling to find housing for all of the people who live here, or to create it because it doesn't exist. And the reason I ended up moving to Knoxville after I graduated from Maryville College was because I began to search for apartments and found exactly 2 in the entire Maryville area. So with somewhere that already struggles to find space and, as we've discussed, traffic moderation for all of the people who already call this place home, we don't need to be adding more issues and more discomfort to the lives of the average citizen. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next. Anyone else?
I just heard about this last night, and I have a daughter that lives off Gill Street, and I have a piece of property, and I own a local milling company here in Blount County, and it's right near where this place is getting built at. And I don't know much about this AI thing. Like I said, I just heard about this last night, so I didn't really get to study up on a lot of the things that's actually getting built and put in here. I just heard some rumors. But another thing, are y'all allowed to answer questions if I ask? No? Okay. Well, I also noticed that y'all was taking down 3 dams up here on like Perry's Mill and these other ones, which I don't swim there or nothing like that. But I didn't know if that had anything to do with the data centers that was coming in. Well, she's answering questions for me, I guess. She's shaking her head. But anyway, I just think it's a very bad idea, because we got the flock cameras that's coming in, and we already see abuse out of that situation. So the data centers are going to be connected with those already. So and a lot of people, I'm 55, and a lot of people here is either older than me or about the same age. We're old school. I don't know why anybody here would want something that we know will end up being corrupt. I mean, things that start out fine and dandy, which could be good, but we know can be corrupt at the end of the day, and it will. I don't know why anybody here would actually vote on something that has the potential of being that corrupt, and it will and can be. And like I said, I come unprepared for this conversation, but I'll be a little more prepared for the next one. And I know that this will fall at the end of the day on the state more than it will our county, because they will have the last say in it. But it has to start somewhere. It starts somewhere at the smallest and works its way up. Our voice does. But like I said, next time I'll be a little more prepared. But that's all I got to say for now. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello there, I'm Delarose. I was homeschooled for most of my life, but I started out in kindergarten, Blount County campus, Maryville. Was great until I got too good. Was great until I was outperforming the rest of my classmates and the school offered too little too late. This has a point, I promise. I'm not just bragging. I'm sure you're sick and tired of hearing about these AI data centers, but surely I hope you can hear the passion in the community when we say we do not want this. If I could show you, if I had the papers with me, I could show you the sheer amount of studies that AI and the use of it has the ability to make you dumber. I do not want my community to be dumber. It is so sad when students who are failing will try and use this as a scapegoat just once, just one time. It's not just one time. The one time adds up. And if this AI data center is allowed in our community, it is an active contribution to the degradation of the education system in Blount County. Tennessee is number 31 in education for the entire country. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Grant Moore. I go to Alcoa High School currently, and I'm going into my senior year. And from the beginning, you're hearing a lot about AI data centers, and I'm coming out in agreement with all of it. Everybody's done a lot of research on the environmental impacts, and I'm a big economics nerd. And so I spend a lot of time looking at graphs and looking at like types of businesses and what they'll do and like how they usually do perform economically. And AI data centers and AI in general have kind of shown that they're in this big feedback loop of just constant increases in investment, and it's become what economists define as a bubble. And I think that this is our opportunity to insulate ourselves and stay away from AI data centers and stay away from AI, because it will lead to an economic catastrophe, and this could give us the opportunity to stay good, like stay as like a proper good economy, and like maybe like invest in other more assured sectors of our economy to increase it, like tourism and industry and hospitality, all of those. I think that'd be good. Thank you for listening, and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Anyone else? Last call.
My name is Riley Dalton, and as of April 12th, there have been 29 deaths due to AI. AI does not create jobs, it creates temporary jobs that do not last long, and they barely hire. And the only people who profit off of AI data centers is the bigger corporations. Nobody really profits from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Brad Jackson. I'd like to state that Rodney Murphy was right. There is certain members of this party, Doug, that does drag around on getting things done. I had a project here in Blount County, right down here on Blockhouse Road. Same situation, drug it around, can't get an answer. Just so happens the survey didn't turn out the way I wanted it, so I just dropped it. But he's right on that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Mr. Commissioner, I'm going to, evidently I'll be last speaking tonight. I don't want to interrupt this group movement.
Did you say you wanted to say something else? Sorry. Okay, anybody else have anything? If not, I am getting...
Mr. Chair.
Okay. I can't guarantee you're the last, but you are now. Go ahead.
I'm having a little bit of difficulty hearing the system here. I requested to follow this group. Is there anybody else?
You need to use the mic.
I'm Jim Fox. I've been here before. I see a lot of new faces in here tonight. This is another request. I live off of Ralston Road on Trenton. And I've got to admit there was some effort to make repairs on our subdivision. We've got about 225 houses in that subdivision. Our entire neighborhood asphalt surface is demolished, untaken care of. Over the 10, 11 years that I've been there, we've had next to none maintenance in that neighborhood. The place is falling apart. We're trying to protect our investment, our neighborhood, a nice neighborhood. We've had a couple of you folks here that have been down there and looked at this situation. Other than what they've told me thus far, I have no response. What is your response to complaints? Do you do something? Do you make some kind of an article in a paper or something? When I was here the first time, I got no response. Tonight, you people are talking to other people, the first part of this session. But anyway, I would like to get some feedback. I would like to see the commissioners take charge of the highway department for the county. I don't know how this department works. I know they're busy, they work hard, they've got a lot of projects going on, but what I see in the paper is all I know. Until this has got me to the point of being frustrated. So I've got no response. I see millions, literally millions, and departments coming out and asking for more money in the middle of a budget that's been established 6, 8, 9 months earlier, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. I'm talking about having our neighborhood resurfaced, not in next year's budget, but this year, in the near future. We've got gravel piled up. You could take a dump truck load of gravel out of the intersections of Ralston View, and I'm tired of it. I've taken care of the boulevard in the middle there. We planted plants in there. We pick up trash out of the ditches. That's my duty. I volunteer that to keep my neighborhood looking good. And it's a safe neighborhood right there. We have some great neighbors. And there's many of us in that neighborhood are expecting the county to do something about our neighborhood roads. Our investments are at stake. There's a lot of new stuff going on. It's time we start taking care of what we have. If you got to steal some money from these other budgets, spend it down there on Ralston View. Thanks for serving. One last thing, the clock's still. Now what's going to happen tonight? What's going to happen in my big, wild, exuberant speech here tonight? What's going to be done? I've had a couple of people actually commissioners, walk that neighborhood with me. I'm appreciative of that. They take an interest. Thank you. So what happens next? You've talked to the first section, people in the first section that were making part of the agenda, that were making requests from you folks, and you folks were talking to them. Do we just walk in here and get rid of our complaints and nothing happens? We read nothing in the paper, nothing gets done? What's next, gentlemen, ladies?
Thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else from the public have any comments? Seeing none, I'm going to call that part of the meeting closed. Commissioners, you're public. Somebody want to say something?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've been here a long time this evening, and I just want to say as a fellow Blount County, and I'm very proud of the way this group has conducted themselves this evening. For the most part, a lot of professionalism, a lot of kindness and so forth, and believe it or not, that does make a difference in how you're received at times. I feel your passion. I feel it. I know it. I've got 6 grandchildren. My family lives here. I'm here. I will not bore you with my position on this at this point in time, but I want to tell you that it takes a lot of courage to get outside of your comfort zone and stand up to that microphone and do it. I'm an old man. I couldn't have done it when I was your age. And for that first young lady that spoke, and unfortunately I don't remember her name, I think it was you, may I see you after this meeting for 30 seconds, if I may? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Hannah.
I want to second what Commissioner Giles said. I think it's great that young people are getting involved and want to come out and express their thoughts. I'm also a commissioner, and I just want to express to the community that no AI data center has been brought to us to approve. Just want you to know. I'm reading the same things you're reading, and there's a lot of false information, but there is also conversations that are being had, but nothing has been brought to us to make any decisions on. I am unsure of anyone on commission that even wants that here as well, but I cannot speak for others. I do know that there is active resolutions being looked at to create some zoning regulations to try to prevent something like that coming. But we're also willing, we're not allowed to have debates back and forth, just so you all understand if this is your first meeting, but most of us are willing to talk to you afterwards. You can email us. Our information is on the county website. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to echo from this body. It takes a lot to get up here and speak. It can be nerve-wracking, and as far as your engagement, I appreciate the community coming here, engaging, voicing their opinions, and I know it's a very hard thing to do. So once again, thank you.
Any other commissioner? Commissioner Wells?
Yeah, I'll say this real quick. Just so everybody knows, the county and Maryville and Alcoa have all been in discussion with what this potential site could look like beyond that particular data center. So we're all in agreement trying to protect that particular piece of property. So just so you all know, we all are on the same page. We're working toward that effort. And so from a community service standpoint, we hear you loud and clear, but we also from the partnership all the way through Blount County, Maryville, and Alcoa, we all are working toward the same goal. So I hope you all know that.
Commissioners, anyone else? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Have a motion. All in favor, say aye.